Folks, it's now nearly 5 minutes to 6 on the 7th of the 4th, 2020. I've just finished the video. I'm just uploading the video of Keep the Barriers Up. And there's more to that one, so, well, okay. Let's get on and do the next bit then. This will be probably Keep the Barriers Up, part 2, I guess. Okay. Well, the first bit was, I was told that when we first become a Christian, we have new barriers put in place to stop the world from getting in. And in most cases, we break down those barriers incredibly quickly. But again, if those barriers were there, if they got introduced to us after we become a Christian, then they can be put back up. So, let's go to God and see if we can get those barriers put back up, because that would be really useful. The next thing that I got afterwards was that, we have to see it as understandable that even though we might not do harm to somebody, we might not do harm, that we will sometimes wish harm upon people. So if you're dealing with humans, then you are going to sometimes wish harm upon people. You're going to sometimes pray that God does harm upon people. So just leaving it for God to fight your battles. You're going to be putting in requests, for God to do nasty things to people, to teach them, because you think they might need to learn the lesson. Do you want them to be taught by God in a very unpleasant way? Again, that's quite normal. But then, just now, as I was about to do this, God then put something else in my head, that flowers we generally consider as pretty, as beautiful. Would we ever want any harm to come to a flower? No, because we appreciate them. We appreciate the beauty of them. We would never pray that God would do harm to flowers, because of the fact that we appreciate their beauty. I was going to say, coming to mind, and this wasn't from God, I was going to say baby lambs as well, but actually we do eat lamb. That's what lamb is. So we do harm to baby lambs because we eat them. Like chicks, for example, we don't do harm to chicks. We do harm to when they get older. But as little tiny chicks, we don't do harm. Puppies, we don't want to do harm to puppies. Most of us, we have to break down barriers to be able to do harm to puppies, because of the fact that, again, they're cute, they're sweet, they're innocent. We won't want to harm them because we see them as they're beautiful. But we don't see humans often as beautiful, unless that person is nice to us, unless that person does lovely things for us. Humans are complicated. They can be nice and they can be nasty. They can do both. They can fill both those places of nice and nasty. To some people, they're going to be more nasty. Other people, they're going to be more nice. Does that mean they're nice, or does that mean they're nasty? Depends really on where you're sitting, doesn't it? So one person could be praying for God to bless that person, another person is praying for God to curse. The same person. Still that one same person. One Christian is praying for God to bless them, another one is praying for God to curse them. Good chance God's going to do neither. He's not going to bless them or curse them, because he knows that they're good and bad. They need to work on their bad, and they need to really bump up the good. And that's the case with us all. We're all good and bad, all of us. I mean, I've said on my videos time and time again, I could not care less whether people like me. I really could not care less I mean, the reason is because of the fact that the world has a population of 7.8 billion people. Chances are, am I going to get 7.8 billion people loving me? No. No. And so, could I care less whether some people that I know don't like me? No, I couldn't care less. I really could not care less. It doesn't bother me at all. People aren't bringing me cake every afternoon and stuff like that. I couldn't care less. And if they were, I'd be obese. Because out of politeness, I have to eat all the cake, wouldn't I? So therefore, it's a good thing they're not doing that. But I couldn't care less. I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not here to please people. That is not my job. That is not the job of any Christian, to please people. Your job is to please God. Simple. Now, sometimes you're going to fail that exit. Let's be more precise on that issue. Most of the time, you're going to fail. Most of the time, you're not going to be pleasing God. Sometimes you will. And sometimes when you're pleasing God, you'll be pleasing people at the same time. But I've done videos about that, about being a people pleaser or God pleaser. Well, I've got no intention to please people. No intention at all. And one result of not being a people pleaser is that people aren't pleased with you. So, why should I care? I've got neighbours that I don't like and who don't like me. Who cares? Don't care. That's life. I've had people upstairs from me who are lovely that I liked and they're not me. The original person who owned the place upstairs, we got along very well. Grant. Nice fella. We got along really well. That's fine. He then sold, and the problem with rented property is that quite often the worst of society end up renting properties because of the fact that they get pushed off from this, that, and the other, and they don't value the property they live in. So therefore, they don't really take care of it. But that's common. That's common for rentals. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm great in that way because certainly the place I'm in, it was a mess when I first moved in. Jesus Christ. It was a bloody mess. I mean, the carpet had a massive stain on it. Within 3 months of me being here, the place flooded really badly. And so obviously tons of crap come in. Because we had quite a bit of rain at one point and the whole of the indoors here was flooded. Tons of water. It was around about an inch of water deep. And of course for the pups that was a major problem. All their bedding was soaking wet and I had to stick them all in the shower when I tried to deal with it. There's 5 dogs in a shower. The shower door got broke. So there you go. So generally speaking, have I taken care of certainly the carpet in here? No, because this carpet is going to be ripped up at some point because it absolutely stinks. It stank ever since it got flooded. And the landlord I had at that point in time isn't the one I have now. She sold up, but her idea when it flooded was I should take the carpet out, put it up in the garden. It wasn't even my garden, someone else's garden, right? Leave it out there for a few days for it to dry, and then I should put it back down. Excuse me, I've got a bed on it, I've got cupboards on it, I've got fridge freezer on it. I'm supposed to shift all this stuff out on my own. And then put a carpet up, take it outside, unroll it on someone else's garden. But that's with rentals, that's what you get sometimes with rentals. And again, wishing harm on people. That was a good example. Wishing harm on that landlord, which she sold up. So praying that God would deal with that situation. He did. She sold up. Landlord I then got was better to begin with. Not so much better now because he's got himself in a mess that is costly to him to a huge amount. So he's not able to do the work in the flat now that needs to be done. But again, that's life. That's part of life. I've never had reason to wish hurt against him because I know that his nature is he would do it if he could. The work needs to be done. If he could do it, he would do it. It's just at the moment he can't do it. And so he's a decent landlord because he's got the right attitude. some landlords just don't care. As long as they're getting their money, they just don't care. And the person who bought the property above couldn't care less. She's getting paid, that's all she cares about. And it's like, okay. Your property is going to be ruined at some point by your tenants. And I'm pretty sure that you'll soon care after that happens. I don't need to pray that happen. That would just happen. Because if you're a landlord who couldn't care less, then you're going to be a landlord who's going to pay for it. The consequences will hit. I mean, certainly if you get tenants in who are negative in their attitude and, doing what people do. I have to say, so far, they haven't really had anyone who's trashed the property. I think it's only a matter of time. It really is. It's only a matter of time before they get someone who's going to trash. Even the case of having 2 dogs on a floor that's vinyl is going to certainly cause damage to the floor. But if the landlord doesn't care, then good for her. She's going to have to replace the vinyl and everything else. And if she's quite happy doing all of that, then great. Good for her, When the place become available, I didn't apply to go into it. It would have been better than what I've got right now. Part of the reason I didn't apply is because my dogs know this is the downstairs bit as being their bit. And if I moved into that bit, they'd be constantly running down the steps trying to get into this place. So it's like, they'll have to learn that no, we don't live there anymore. So, and because of the fact that the Grant who lived there before, he did it up really nice, and I wouldn't want my dogs running around the vinyl floor and tearing it up, which is what they do. Because when they go out, they get excited, and I've got a bit of vinyl here in my area here again that got flooded and started lifting, but there's a bit by the door where the vinyl is basically gone now. And to that place upstairs, I wouldn't want them doing that to that place at all. Out of respect for Grant, who was there before, not out of respect for the landlord who's there now, but for Grant. And so he put a lot of work into that house while he was living there, so I wouldn't have done that. So, well, as I say, this one is about, we are going to think about harm, and we are going to pray for harm to come to people. When we do, just repent, realise where it's coming from. It's coming from that darkness of the world that's crept in. So, as I said right at the beginning of this, we'll go right back to that bit now. That when we became Christians, we had those new barriers put in place to stop the world from getting in. We've got to put them back up again. And the way to put them back up is to spend that time with God in prayer, in Bible study, in worship. Spend time with God. I was doing something years ago called Back to Christian Basics, and in that there was a picture that God gave me of a circle, and there was an inner circle to that circle, and the inner circle was God, and anywhere within the outer circle, within that, you were safe-ish. The closer you got to the outside, you were getting close to the world, where the devil could just grab you and pull you out. And you've got a lot of Christians who are sitting on the line of that outer circle with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And that's not a good place to be. So if you want to put the barriers up, you've got to get right into that circle. You've got to spend far more time focusing on your relationship with God. Get that right. Improve your Bible study, your worship, and all that. And then you're building those barriers back up again to stop the world from getting in. Because then when someone does something bad to you, or something that could offend you, you don't get offended. Because you're thinking how the Lord would think. You're not thinking how someone in the world would think. And that's what those barriers are. Because you learn His way and His will and His understanding, and they're barriers to stop the world from getting in. Because of lack of teaching and lack of quality teaching in the church, those barriers have all come down. And so we need to put them back up again. Not everyone has all the barriers down. I'm not saying that before anyone starts jumping in, and I certainly don't have all the barriers up. No way, shape or form. The world gets in my life quite often. It shouldn't do, but it does. So that's why the channel is called A Normal Christian, because it's not. I'm not extra normal. I'm not a phenomenal Christian who is doing everything spot on. I'm normal. I struggle. I find some things very difficult to deal with. But that's normal. That's normal Christians. Most of us aren't these fly-by-night Christians that are incredibly bright to start with, but then fade out incredibly quickly. We're on a longer journey, and that journey is difficult. You've got some Christians who are like 100-meter runners, who are very impressive. Most of us are marathon runners, and we don't look anywhere near impressive as 100-meter runners. We're skinny. We're not pumped up and looking as if we could defeat the world. We look weak, we look meek, we look mild, we look pathetic at times, and we've got an arduous journey ahead, and that isn't easy. That's difficult, and you've got to stay the course. But with the barriers up, you've got a far better chance of staying the course. So, but that's why God's been talking to me about barriers recently, because I dropped barriers and I've allowed things in, and I've reacted in ways that I shouldn't have done, even though what people were doing to me was bang out of order, especially in the circumstances we're in. Really out of order. But I shouldn't have responded the way I did, because I should have responded in the way that the Lord would respond. So, it's as simple as that. I've got barriers down, and so God's been speaking to me about the importance of keeping the barriers up. So that's why I figured it was right to share that. And so that will all be shared now. If any more comes with regards to that, I do keep the barriers up part 3, if it will be needed. I do that, and then that'll be cool. I'll get that sorted. So barriers part 2 is done. It's not as long as the first one. Nearly half the amount of time taken, which is good, but there was a waffle in between, which I do apologize for. Shouldn't do that. But again, that's normal. I'm learning. So you take care. God bless, and I will speak to you soon. As I say, if there's anything more that I can add, I will add. I'll do another video. I'll do a part 3 if necessary. None of this is scripted. I don't write things down. I just give it as I feel God's telling me to give. Simple as that. So it won't be perfect. None of my recordings are going to be perfect. Some are better than others. I tried to figure out the other day with the little mic I've got how to do the audio better, because I worked out earlier, probably about 25% nasal airway. It always sounds as if I've got my nose blocked, which it is, really. And there's only 25% nasal airway there. It is pretty much blocked. So it sounds muffled, and sometimes when I say things, they're not easier to hear. And I haven't figured out. I mean, what I suppose I need is some audio whiz thing. I'm going to play around with the sound a bit more to get rid of that muffledness, but I have no idea. Anyone has any ideas, feel free to mention any devices that would be useful to do that. Something I could have a look at on the computer at some point on Googly, see what they say. You take care, God bless, and I will speak to you soon if there's more to be. Enjoy. Bye bye.